is synonymous with tits. When you think of a fighting game with unnaturally large, perky titties, you think Dead or Alive. They even made a fucking woeful B-grade film out of this series. But the problem wasn't titties, but rather anything else that makes a substantial film. Under all that tit is actually a rock-solid fighting game. If it had to be assessed on the grounds of the game itself without tits, it would still get a pretty damn good score. The interesting thing was, it came out in the arcade originally in 1996, and the following year, Sega Saturn owners could have a sweet taste of that action. But only if you had a Japanese console or some method of playing Japanese imports. Then PlayStation released it worldwide, because, well, PlayStation figured that tits in a video game had worldwide potential, not just Japan. And they were right. The story for each character is different. I don't really want to ruin it for those that are 16 years late and want to play this game. I'm a little torn with the story. As far as stories go, you're not exactly missing terribly much, as the stories are pathetic attempts to really string all the characters together. There is a tournament that everyone has been asked to attend, and they all have their own reasons to join, from the usual getting revenge on their father, to a massive ego stroke proving that they're the best. But, as far as fighters go, that is a pretty damn good story. The one thing that separates this game when you compare it to other Sega Saturn games is that there are very few that were fast-paced 3D fighters that didn't suck a tsunami of shit out of my asshole. As far as the PlayStation was concerned, it had a few offerings it was up against and never really surpassed anything that wasn't already established. Except amazing titty physics. See what I mean? Tits. Presentation is very practical and it's laid out well. Everything here seems to fit together very nicely, including your health bars, which might sound strange, but as I've established in previous reviews, actually makes quite a difference. It's not the be-all end-all, but shit, it certainly makes a difference. From your start menu through to your in-game layout is effective from start to finish. By this stage, one-on-one fighting games have been well established enough to know what works and what doesn't. And this game has enough shine and thought put into it to show that they're using the tried and true method. Graphics are second to none. I strain to think of another 3D fighting game for the Saturn that looks this good. I would even argue the graphics surpass Virtua Fighter 2, which set the benchmark for 3D fighting games on the Saturn. I can only imagine what living hell I've raised by saying something like that, but I'm very impressed to the point where you put it with all the others in the series and it doesn't look dated, awkward, or even have that big gap between this and the sequels. The sound is pretty good. The one thing about fighting games that people seem to identify with is the sounds or words that fighters make when pulling off moves, and this does a pretty good job. Not as memorable as Street Fighter 2, but then again, not many games are. Not to mention the sound effects of the hits themselves and the background music both work really well and add an extra something to the game. As a test, I removed the music alone from this game, and all it did was confirm that this game works as a package. You take one element out, and it wouldn't receive the gleaming recommendation it could very well receive. The gameplay is effective, and controls all make sense and are reactive. On top of this, the collision detection is really good. The characters all behave differently in a very positive way. You can be a casual gamer on fighting games and still get something out of this, or you can be a far more hardcore gamer and learn everyone's moves and have a bigger payoff. There's the standard array of modes like arcade and versus, which is what I would expect from a game like this. I also found the combo mechanic in this game to work greatly. It's not overbearing that you feel the need to do combos all the time for us beginners, but for the experienced fighting gamer, you can certainly add an extra level of challenge by chaining all your moves together effectively if you so desire. This game is hard to quantify the lasting appeal. On one hand, it's a game you'll always come back to. On the other hand, it's the kind of game that's designed to be played through a few times, maybe, in a single sitting. So overall, it's worth the money you'd invest into the game. Would I recommend this game? Yes. Even without the tits, although the tits do help. And you can actually turn them off in the options section if you're fucking insane. Plus, you can get this game for a modest price on the eBays. As always, thank you very much for watching. Click on the TV to see the last review, and click on the name underneath the television if you'd like to subscribe.